When you signed on to do Captain America: The First Avenger, did you always know that Bucky could be heading in this direction? Was that always told to you as a potential, or you were aware of the comic book?
Yeah, of course I was aware of I ended up, educating myself about the comic books, but that was after my meeting with them when they first told me, okay, this is the role, what do you think about it? And they sort of kind of showed me the whole arc of the character, and then I read the comic books for the first time, but before that I never knew. I was never that familiar with them. I knew the name of Captain America, but I didn't know the stories.
Right. Were you familiar when you signed on that Bucky becomes the Winter Soldier? Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know when they were going to do that, if they were going to do that.
Right.
I liked that story. I was very happy with that. I was like, hey, anytime you want to do that, go for it.
So when they announced that was good, the title of the sequel.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, we're doing this. It was very much like, oh God, it's really it was a surprise. I didn't, and listen, they also told me, you're in the sequel, as the Winter Soldier. But they didn't go, they could have said, it could have been like, you're in for a scene, and then whatever. It wasn't, never mind that they would name the title the way they did, or that, he would be in it the extent he was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great arc of a character to go from.
It's awesome. It really
Bucky
is.
in the first movie to this.
Well, yeah, I mean, he starts out one way, he ends up going over to the dark side, and then suddenly he sort of starts to come back somewhere in the middle, and then you don't know where he's going to end up.
So you read the Ed Brubaker material?
Yeah.
Okay, so were you able to pick anything off of that sort of helped inform your performance, or?
I mean, everything.
Yeah.
I know the Russos were following it to a T, and again, we're just in this film. We're introducing the Winter Soldier. You needed all of the Brubaker story in order to, because it's almost like the whole situation here. It's almost like you're always, with Marvel, the first movie, this movie, and I don't know what's going to come next. You're just doing one big movie, essentially. You're not sure when you're finishing it. You know what I mean? So it's like the same way we approach doing a movie. It's like, well, I gotta know to some extent what's happening or what might happen, where the character starts out, where he ends up, and you're fleshing out a performance. And so now we're picking up the Winter Soldier. It's somewhere in the middle a little bit, or even near the beginning.
Well, I mean, how much does Marvel tell you about their overall plan? Nothing.
No,
nothing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I mean, does that leave you in the dark a little bit as an actor, trying to figure out?
Well, listen. I mean,
down the line, you need to sort of know how.
Well, I think all the clues. A lot of clues are in the scripts, in the sense of, why are these scenes in the script? So there's a lot of clues in the script, but you're always, the plan is always to prepare for the best. And so far, preparing for the best has paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. As an actor, what's it like doing a scene with Robert Redford? I know you don't actually have any speaking lines in that scene, but
I do actually have speaking lines in one of the scenes.
That must have been amazing just to be on a set with him.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it's Robert Redford. It's he was perfect for this movie. I mean, just having him kind of change the whole aura of the whole thing. He's a legend. He was a very giving actor. Some actors sort of do their take when the camera's on them, and then when the camera's on you and it turns around, they sort of leave. But he was very generous and treated me as his equal, and just a wonderful man.
What was your impression of sort of his impression of being on a Marvel movie? Do you know what I mean? It was an unusual casting. I mean, I think a lot of fans were kind of like, Robert Redford is going to do.
Well, yeah, but not so unusual. Well, right, because maybe because it's a comic book movie, but not so unusual when it's a thriller, political thriller movie. Listen, I mean, he's been a director, he's been a producer, he's been an actor. I'm sure he's been a writer. I mean, he came in and he pretty much was like, I'm an actor in this movie, you know. Direct me, tell me where to go, tell me what you guys want, you know. He very much, kept to that role. There was no sort of other persona to him.
Right.
He was like, I'm an actor like everybody else, so let's do it.
That's great. So coming into a sequel and having your director change into two directors and
Right.
the Russo brothers take over, what was that like? I mean, was it sort of a perfect fit? Because I mean, the movie turned out amazing, but
Right.
it seems almost seamless coming in. But you could have something totally go wrong when you do that kind of a move.
I mean, you do. You know, sometimes you do have things go wrong. This wasn't the case this time. It was really a good fit. It's two directors instead of one. It feels like more collaborative. I think that they had very specific vision for this. They wanted to make this more realistic, much darker. They really needed, you know, they really wanted to bring it to 2014, the world that we know. And so, obviously, their background in character development and comedy and sort of like tone of scenes and in terms of just setting up the choreography of how a scene and the funny moments come out of that, all those shine through because the movie needed to have some lighter moments as well. So they really couldn't have been a better choice.
He becomes Captain America at one point in the comic books. Is that something that you've thought about? Is that something you're like, oh man, I might be Cap one day? When Chris's contract runs out.
I mean, how, you know, because it's in the comic books, of course. How could you not think about that? But, you know, we're not, that's, you know, it's silly to think about it right now. I mean, that's just, you know, I think we're still plenty away from possibility like that. But if it ever were to come that way, then of course I'd be thrilled.
Is your next Marvel movie then going to be Cap 3, or is there an Avengers 2 possible appearance?
I don't know, actually. I don't really know. I mean, as far as I know right now, I'm not involved with Avengers 2. I think they have a lot of plates over there.
They got a lot of people involved.
They've got to figure out a lot. So I don't, but I don't know yet.